Hey Internet, my name is Abby and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program on Wings. We are here with our Dres Research Probe because the encounter with Dres is before the return window for the EVE Explorer, and in this case we have to prepare our Dres encounter. I have set up a tiny little maneuver node, so when we're going up to the orbital map we can see our current periapsis is around 10,000 kilometers above Dres surface, and after the tiny burn we will lower it to 21 kilometers. So it's time to do the burn. Let me just turn my spacecraft around to the maneuver node. Yes, very good. Oh, this was too much of a turn. Let me turn my spacecraft back, and yes, right now, and do the tiny burn, because although we are 4 minutes out, we still can do this, because we are so far out from the rest that it doesn't matter if we are doing it exact of the appropriate spot or if we are doing it a little bit earlier or later. Okay, I want to do the final adjustment with my RCS thrusters, so let me just do a RCS use, and 19 kilometers, this is good enough. Switch off RCS, thank you for the maneuver node. And now it's up for the time warp again to arrive at Dres. Let me just speed things up and slow things down, because as usual the floating point error with the sphere of influence change and suddenly periapses that are somewhere else but not there where you've planned them. So I want to do it very slowly as usual to enjoy the encounter maybe, and let's only a few seconds. Okay, for the last 10 seconds we can look for Dres. We can look for, oh, there, this black dot is Dres. Okay, there is Dres, and here we are aiming for Dres, and now we have done the sphere of influence change and the Dres periapsis has remained at 20 kilometers. This is very nice. So let me see. Add maneuver node in 4 hours. So I want to enter an orbit around Dres. What? 1500 meters per second of delta V to enter a stable orbit around Dres. This is a lot. This is really a lot. I really think I won't do this, because 1500 meters per second we have already used more than half of our fuel tank just to enter stable orbit around Dres. I think we are just doing the flyby around Dres instead and going back to interplanetary space around the Sun and do somewhere around the Sun our orbit, not our orbit, our burn, to adjust our trajectory to return back to Kerbin, instead of now using 1500 meters per second of delta V for just entering a stable orbit around Dres, which gives us no use because we can do our science in a flyby. So I think, screw you maneuver node, we will just do a short flyby instead, because I think this is more efficient than anything else. And in this case let me just speed up a little bit so that we can get closer to Dres. I don't want to speed up too fast or we are just flying past it without having a good view on it, but on the other hand, due to the Sun we really don't see anything from Dres. It's only a black thing. But we can do right now our observe mystery goo. Yes. While in high space over Dres, the goo feels right at home. Okay, 70 science, let's keep it. And gravity data. The sensor sweeps the surface and finds the average gravitational pull to be quite low for a planet. 140 science. Okay, this is amazing. But on the other hand, tiny gravitational pull is low, but on the other hand, it's almost impossible for me to enter a stable orbit in this configuration right now. So let me just do a second, the same information, a second scan. So I use all of my instruments I know it's a little bit redundant, but on the other hand, I can max out maybe the signs for these biomes when I return back home. And yeah, because returning back home, that's why I will just do the flyby. Because if I do now the burn to enter a stable orbit around Dres, I think I would pretty much screw my space probe, and it won't be able to leave Dres or fly back home to Kerbal when I'm doing this. And in this case, I think it's much more efficient to just do the flyby, because, okay, now we are getting closer, let me slow down. Because if I'm now using all of my fuel and I can't return, then I have to launch a rescue mission for the probe, and I just did a rescue mission for a probe with my Moho Explorer, and I don't need to, or I don't want to do this once more. So in this case, I like to just return back to interplanetary space and orbit around the sun, and finally I will have hopefully a good encounter or a good spot to do a burn, to have an encounter with Kerbal, to return back home, even if this takes a little bit longer in time. But I don't need to launch another rescue mission, and I don't need to do anything else which requires me to fly out somewhere. Okay, 60 kilometers, we are getting pretty low. Can we do already closed Dres? Observe mystery goo. Why in high space over Dres? No, no, no. I don't want to be in high space over Dres, I want to be in closed Dres. Oh, I hope I can do this because let me just log gravity data. High space over Dres. I hope we can do this because I think this is pretty fast when we are doing our flyby. 39 kilometers. High space over Dres. Oh, I hope 21 kilometers is good enough. When is the closed Dres? 30 kilometers. High space over Dres. Why are you all the time high space over Dres? Log gravity data. High space over Dres. Here's Dres. Okay, let's spam all the experiments. And keep it. I will go through the readings later on. I will just do as much science as I can before I'm back in high space over Dres. Also, I will just use every instrument I can use, and then we will check these readings later on, because, well, as I said, I only have a very small chance. Can't be done right now. Okay. Can't be done right now because we are already in high space over Dres. Okay, so this was a science spam. This was close. I was lucky that this was low enough to get near space, in space near Dres, and now we can even see a little bit of the surface of Dres. It's looking a little bit. It doesn't have really sharp craters. At least it doesn't look like it has really sharp craters. It's more like, well, it has some craters, but they seem to be pretty old. Okay, I wanted to see review. The high to paint the rocket. Okay, high radiation, glowing samples, fun painting rocket, all the same information. And review data, high over Dres. No, I want to near Dres. Review. Near Dres also feels right at home. Okay, nothing spectacular. And review data for high Dres. No, keep it. Temperature, is there anything interesting? Review. Collected and recorded temperature data from the environment. Not so interesting. Review data. While near Dres, the sensor sweeps the surface and finds the average gravitational pull to be quite low for our planet. Okay, keeps this. So, not so... Okay, there are some more new craters, I guess. They are looking a little bit more sharp. This looks also a little bit more sharp. And there are some interesting scars in the surface. This looks also interesting. I think this could be an interesting landing spot to investigate this. But, well, unfortunately, we don't have the capability to land. Well, we don't have landing legs or anything like this. And we even have not the right amount of fuel to even enter a stable orbit. Or, well, we could enter a stable orbit around Dres, but I don't think so that we can that we can then leave Dres. So in this case we have done a lot of science. This is a good thing, and I hope we can return the science back home to Kerbal once we have orbited around the Sun and found a good place to return back to Kerbal. And here, this leaves us with a beautiful view back to Dres, which is pretty amazing. So yeah, goodbye Dres. It was nice to meet you. And yeah, let me... What do I want to do? Let me just do a time warp so that we can see how Dres is getting smaller as we are leaving it. Okay, I think we can speed up a little bit more because it's getting significantly lower and smaller. Okay, before I overshoot, let me switch over to the orbital map. How much time do I have? 3 hours. Can I set there a maneuver node to have a reference? No, I can't. Okay, so let me just speed up. Same issue as usual with the change of sphere of influence. So 1 hour and 9 minutes, 8 minutes, 7 minutes, 5. Have we already done the... I think we have done this. Okay, I hope everything is okay. Let me just see. Let me set Kerbal as a target. Let me... 5.8. What happens if I adjust this and then reduce my trajectory? Then we are quite ahead of it, and it's less delta we needed than our Dres orbit burn. Okay, let me try this on the opposite side. What would happen if I do it right here? And now reduce the speed and... Okay, so maybe somewhere would be a good spot to have an encounter. I will figure this out later, but at least we have done our science, and someday we will return back to Kerbal once we found the good spot to do so. So yeah, I think this was good enough for our Dres probe, and coming up next is our return window for Eve, and I think we can manage this in this episode. So let me just do our next time warp, and I will bring you back in once we have the appropriate return window for our Eve Explorer. So we are back, but we are not around Eve. We are still in orbit around the Sun with our Dres probe, because I played a little bit around with the maneuver nodes, and I set up a maneuver node with a burn of 1053 meters per second. So it's a bit cheaper than establishing an orbit around Dres in, well, this is a very long time, in 168 days. And the thing looks like this. We are currently here with Dres, so we are doing half of an orbit around the Sun until this position. Here we are doing our maneuver, and with this maneuver we can change our trajectory so that we have in about a year our encounter with Kerbal, so that we are on our way back home. While we have to do a correction burn around here, but we are officially on our way back home to Kerbal, and we have already prepared our maneuver. So yeah, we are coming back home, and this will happen, well, not soon, but it will happen, and this is a good news. And well, as you can see, I haven't fast forwarded in time, but I want to do something else. I want to celebrate with you something, well, how to say this, something very important, because you might remember this thing, our switch to Earth's departure stage, or as I called it, the Kerbal departure stage. It was the very first Kerbal departure stage I constructed. You can see this. It still has only the small fuel tanks. It's assembled together with different fuel tanks. It has fuel lines, and I decided around Dres because No, not around Dres, around Duna, because the LVT-45 liquid fuel engine isn't so powerful that this thing is pretty much out of shape and it's not so good anymore, and that it can be screwed. And so yeah, I kept the thing in orbit because there is some tiny little amount of liquid fuel in it, just in case that I might use it with my Duna constellation. But, well, I haven't used it because we are now out of Duna's sphere of influence and the thing is still orbiting around, but I don't think that I will ever use it again. In this case, we have to deorbit this and to, well, disintegrate this, and I think because it's such an old thing, I've launched it very long time ago, and I used it for mid-miss exploration. I'm not sure if I used it also for visiting the moon, but I used it to fly up to Duna, so it did a lot of amazing things, and so I think it deserves the proper way of disintegrating that we are following it during its way down to the surface of Duna. And we can see the whole end of this carbon departure stage. And in this case, I want to do this, of course, in the daylight. So unfortunately, I can't fast forward even faster. Oh, now I can only fast 10 times. I should have prepared this. Okay, I want to celebrate this with you, but this isn't really doing a good job. I want to do my burn around here in 25 minutes so that we are falling to the surface of Duna. But as you can see, I can't fast forward more than 10 times. In this case, stay tuned. I will bring you back in once I have personally survived this fast forward and when we can do the burn at the end of our carbon departure stage. And we are back. We are ready at our maneuver node. Oh, this is pretty agile. Oh, I haven't enabled SAS, that's why. And we can see Ike, and now it's a really sentimental moment because, well, the thing has done so many good things, and right now it's time to go to retirement, so I'm sorry for you, carbon departure stage, but now it's time to separate. Whoa, camera is going crazy. And burn is finished. Thank you so much, maneuver node. We are coming down definitely, and hopefully we won't crash into the first landing on Duna side. And it's a little bit... Okay, we want to follow the last moments of our carbon departure stage. You did an amazing work. You did a great job. Your work was all the time so amazing that it's really sad to separate. It's almost like the just crashed LEDI, the Lunar Atmosphere and Dust Environment Explorer, the satellite that was orbiting around the moon after its science period, or after it has finished all its job and was going down to or was dismissed. It entered a very low orbit around the moon, and because of the very strange or very wonky gravitational field of the moon, it had no stable orbit, and at some point it would crash into the surface of the moon and disintegrate there. And this is almost the same thing what we are doing right now with our carbon departure stage, because we don't need it anymore, and we are not having a wonky gravitational field around Duna, but we have an atmosphere and we have the surface as the surface. So at some point it will just disintegrate. And here, now it's time to say goodbye, I think. We don't have any re-entry effects. This is pretty strange. I thought we would have some. And here, okay, we have a visual on our landing site, and I just can say thank you so much, carbon departure stage. Thank you for so many great times. And I'm sorry for your ending. Goodbye. Oh, something has survived. And it's gone. It's gone. Okay, so much. This so much for my Kerbal departure stage. A really sentimental moment because, well, it served so long in the space program and now it was the ending. And this is right now also the ending for this episode of Kerbal Space Program on Wings. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you will be watching our next episode when we do possibly the leaving of or the burn on Eve's orbit to return back to Kerbal or something like this. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you will see us again in the next episode. Until then, my name is Sebi. See you!